Welcome to the Personal Pension Radio Podcast, where it's all about helping you complete your financial journey to retirement. Discover time-tested strategies and get unconventional insights into wealth building and retirement that actually work. Break away from the herd and go for the retirement you dream of. And now, here's your host, the income engineer, Kraig Strom.
All right, welcome back to Personal Pension Radio. I always love kicking off the show. Thank you so much to everybody who continues to support the show. Really appreciate the updated reviews on iTunes. If you like the show, if you've listened to many episodes or just even one or two that you really like, I would love it if you would go over to Personal Pension Radio on iTunes and leave a review. That would be fantastic. Really appreciate it. Now, you heard it in the intro. I am the income engineer broadcasting from the Personal Pension Radio Workshop here in Southern California. Yes, it is actually my wood shop in the backyard. I am building my own garage doors. They're almost complete, sitting right behind me here in the wood shop. Sometime this year in the fall, I will mount new garage doors on my house. Now, I am all about retirement income planning, pre-retirement and post-retirement income planning. What does that mean? It means that even if you're already retired and you're looking for more income in retirement is my passion. It is a specialty for me. I love the conversation around retirement income. If you're thinking about retiring, even if you're in your 30s, somebody's got to think about retirement someday, because you might want to work until you're 80, but who knows if you're actually going to be able to work until you're 80, right? So you've got to have a plan for when your body says no, you're going to have a retirement income plan. That's my specialty. I love that conversation. Now, the idea of retirement income is not just one isolated little conversation. It's important to understand that you have to connect everything together. That retirement dream is not facilitated by a product. It is not going to be facilitated by an individual investment product. It's not a life insurance product. It's not real estate. It's not annuities. These things by themselves can do some great things for retirement. However, they are not in and of themselves the solution to maximum retirement income. That's where I come in. I love the engineering, hence the income engineer trademark. I love the income engineering that goes into putting all of these things together so that you can actually achieve maximum retirement income. Because optimizing that income, as I said, doesn't happen with a product. 401k doesn't do it by itself. Roth IRAs, they don't do it by themselves, right? Life insurance, those things do not do maximum retirement income by themselves. They've got to be put together in an organized fashion. Now, quick disclosure, I am not an attorney. I am not a certified public accountant. I am a certified financial planner professional. And even as qualified as I might sound on the podcast, please don't act on things that you hear on my show as if you're hearing personalized advice for you. Please meet with a qualified financial planner. Please don't meet with a financial entertainer, someone who doesn't have any licensing and doesn't have really any business giving out financial advice. Hence, Dave Ramsey, for example. Please meet with a qualified financial planner. Sit down with that person, ask him or her to ask you all the questions that they might need to ask to get to know you. Then you're in a position. Now, if you want that person to be me, and quite a few of you have contacted me, I love that. You can email me at Kraig with a K, at kraigstrom.com. Kraig at kraigstrom.com. I would love to chat with you about your specific situation. Really love that. Now, this week I do want to jump right in. Got a lot to talk about. I do want to touch on a quick deal of the week story. Now, this is not a recent deal of the week, but it is something that I thought would be appropriate because you remember my quest personally has become this search for lifestyle deflation. Lifestyle deflation. Like, where can I cut costs without really cutting my enjoyment factor in life? Where can I actually find more of a cushion in my cash flow so that I'm not always stressed about, I got to make money to pay for this, I got to make money to pay for that. I'm looking for lifestyle deflation oftentimes. And one of these areas that I'm always talking about is, of course, never pay retail. I just don't like paying retail. I love to hunt for a deal on something, right? And this idea that and I've heard this before, this idea that people will say, well, you get what you pay for. Quality costs money. Well, yes, that is true in many cases. In many cases, that is true, but not always. So the example I want to give you is the shoes that I'm wearing, right? I'm wearing a pair of Merrell, Merrell, Merrell hiking shoes. I was going to be going to Maine, back where I grew up as a kid. Earlier this year, I thought it'd be nice to have a pair of hiking shoes because my old hiking shoes were 4 or 5 years old, and really good idea to get new ones because I was actually wearing down the soles on the old ones. So friends of mine said, well, you get what you pay for. You should get the Merrell hiking shoes. Those are some of the best. Well, there's no way that I was going to pay $130 for a pair of Merrell hiking shoes. Not going to happen. Okay? I'm going to find a deal. Well, I found a pair on eBay. That had originally would retail for somewhere around $100, $135. I paid $28. Yes, I paid $100 less than retail, and they were used. Fine. I put my insoles in the shoe. They're comfortable. They actually felt good on my feet. They worked pretty well on the trip to Maine, with the exception of not long after I got there, one of the seams on the shoe on my right foot started opening up. And I'm actually noticing my sock sticking out the side of my shoe. Now, I had not done any crazy adventure hiking. I'd just gone out fishing and walking in the woods and walking on the railroad tracks and stuff. Nothing outrageous. And yet, the seam on these very expensive version of hiking shoes just gave way. I wasn't oversized for these shoes. They just started giving way. Well, on vacation, I actually sat down with a little sewing kit and actually sewed that little seam back up so that, hopefully it would hold for my vacation because I didn't really bring any extra shoes. Well, it survived, and then towards the end of the trip, another seam kind of gave way on the other shoe. These shoes actually just started popping seams. And then I noticed there was a spot on the leather that actually got a scuff from a rock or something. And it actually just started opening up like a cut in the leather. Like it was so easy to nick right through it. So bottom line is, I've got these $135 shoes that thankfully I only paid $28 for, and they just started disappointing me, right? These are supposed to be hiking shoes. Hiking shoes are those that they should take a scuff on a rock, or, you jam them into the side of a tree branch or something, and they should be durable enough that they can actually survive a hike, right? Because hikes are, who knows where you're going, right? Well, these shoes have been nothing but a disappointment, right? $130, $135 pair of shoes that really aren't any better than the last pair of shoes that I spent $60 on. And I paid actual retail. They were brand new. I bought them on clearance. They were North Face, and I bought them on clearance. at $60, $65. And those shoes are the ones that I basically was able to wear them until the soles were gone. I mean, the soles were worn down, and it was time to get new shoes, and I got these Merrells. These Merrells, man, I am so glad I did not pay $130 for these shoes, because I would be mad, right? That would just bug the heck out of me. But thankfully, I actually only paid $28 for them, so it doesn't hurt as much as I watch them fall apart, because I'm sure that the Merrell company is not going to, do the right thing or be nice to me and say, hey, well, you must have gotten a lemon pair and we'll give you a new pair. So there's my deal of the week. Go for the deal of the week. It'll make the time that you get a lemon a little easier to deal with, right? Now, in the first segment, watch your step, or the next segment, watch your step. In one of my previous episodes, now, of course, the last episode, number 180, was my video episode with Pete Tentler, the reverse mortgage specialist. I wanted to revisit that topic. I had a lot of questions on it. If you haven't checked out my video podcast, please check that out. There's a link to it in my iTunes account. You can actually get to it, and you can also find it if you email me. I'll send you a link. You can also find it on YouTube if you search Pete Tentler Reverse Mortgage, or you can find me on YouTube. Anyway, in a previous episode, I had actually talked to a client that was introduced by their attorney, and I want to remind everybody of this because it really is tax planning season. I'm recording this in October. This is tax planning season, to be getting ready for taxes and getting ready for the end of the year. And I had shared this story that a CPA had told someone, hey, you're making money when you're paying taxes. Well, yeah, I know that's true, but that's not what you want to hear from your CPA. You want to hear someone, a CPA, talk strategy, like work as a team, work as part of a team to figure out how to pay less taxes, right? In less than 60 minutes with that same client, my CPA partner and I, we uncovered 3 major tax opportunities for them. Major, right? The team approach works. Now, this week, watch your step. Beware of negative comments about cash. Okay, so hear me on this, folks. Beware of negative comments about cash. The investment world is on a 10-year just raging bull, right? 10 years, up, right? And it makes it easy to say, why would you ever want to be in cash? The market is doing so well, blah, 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 right? Well, listen, a friend of mine who is 5 years from retirement, and he's making a company change due to acquisition. Now, the good news is he still has a job. The tough part is that he does have to make a company transition 5 years from retirement, but that means he needs to roll over his company 401k plan. So he asked me for advice. Now, one of the areas that often separates me from the typical Wall Street advisor is that I believe in cash. I believe in good old-fashioned liquidity that earns 1% or less, right? I encourage my friend to build up as much cash on hand as possible, more than he even thought was prudent, right? Like, hey, what do you think a good number is? Oh, yeah, gosh, $30,000, let's say. I'll usually say, no, build up 50. Save up as much as you think and then save more cash. Well, I'm not earning a rate of return. I'm not earning anything. Don't worry about that, right? That's the thing. The more the better. And then make a conscious decision to deploy that cash in a way that keeps him on track for retirement. Now is not the time to dollar cost average into the highest stock market we've seen in a decade. Now is the time for this individual especially to be protective, defensive, to be a prepper. He needs to be prepping for retirement. Cash will give him and his wife choices like, for example, being able to pay for their forever home in retirement without having to sell their current home in a big rush, right? So if he had all of his money tied up in investments or 401k right now, then he went on a trip to look at his new vacation home destination, and they find the perfect house. Well, if all your money is tied up in investments and tied up in 401ks, you may not be able to take advantage of that perfect opportunity. That's one of the reasons that you got to keep cash on hand. You've got to get ready for those opportunities when they come. And 5 years out from retirement, be defensive. Cash on hand is a great opportunity and protection play. It's important, folks. Remember that. Now, another reminder, I haven't done it in a while, freeze your credit. Freeze your credit. Good news, as far as I know, all 50 states now, there's no charge for freezing your credit. You can freeze your credit. No one can go get a job at a chicken ranch in Tennessee. No one can open a store credit card. No one can do those things and steal your credit and your identity if your credit is frozen. Folks, it's easy. It's even free now. Freeze your credit, please. If you want, send me an email, Kraig@kraigstrom.com, and I will send you back the credit freeze links that you can just go right there to the 3 credit bureaus and get your credit frozen, folks, please. Now, the next segment is listener questions and Kraig observations. Now, in the last episode, 180, I mentioned, I talked to Pete Tentler, reverse mortgage specialist. If you think you know reverse mortgage, if you don't know reverse mortgage, you need to listen to the last episode with Pete Tentler. A lot of great information in there. Now, this week, someone asked me a question, said, hey, what does your logo mean? It looks like a mountain. Yes, it is actually a mountain. My logo, Personal Pension Radio on the podcast, is a little black and white, kind of an old-fashioned black and white image that I had done, and it looks like a snow-topped mountain. Well, that actually comes from this idea of the retirement journey. So I always ask the question, what is the ultimate objective of climbing a mountain? Most people say, to get to the top, the accomplishment, the satisfaction. No. The ultimate, real goal of climbing a mountain is to get back down safely. Talk to any active mountain climber. They'll tell you their ultimate goal is to return home safely, right? And that goes to this idea that the retirement journey is just that. It is a 2-part journey. It is up the mountain and back down the mountain. The up the mountain in the financial world is the accumulation phase, building wealth, saving money. The down the mountain, the descent, is the distribution phase. It is actually living off of your assets and the income from them, right? That is the mountain climbing analogy. That's why my logo looks like a mountain. Thank you for asking. Now, someone asked me, whatever happened to buying clearance supercars? They heard that in an episode a couple episodes ago. Helping a friend buy a supercar. Crazy expensive cars. And for me, you know me, I gotta find a deal on it. Well, here's what's happened so far. In the course of a few weeks, that same car that was priced at $179,000, I have been able to negotiate down to a $165,000. We're down from as high as 180 down to 165, and got someone just last week to come down to 163 from 189 when we first started looking. These cars are very expensive, and a lot of people think, well, at that level, there's no bargains to be had. Well, yes, there is, folks. At that level, the only difference is that the amount of reduction in the price is even larger, right? We're talking about $5,000 moves. I got one dealership just last week to move $5,000 in one email. $5,000 in one email saying, hey, look, we got a car just over here, XYZ. And they came back and said, yep, we'll do that. $5,000 discount on the same car. That is a big deal. So the deal is not yet done because the clearance price that I think is right has yet to be met. So we're still working on it. That's a great question. Thanks for asking. Now, a quick reminder. It is college application season, October. It is FAFSA, free application for federal student aid. It is time. If you haven't done the FAFSA forms and you've got a college kid out there, you've got to do your FAFSA. Remember, you can do the FAFSA each year. If you have questions, I have compiled a list of resources to help you with all things college, all the links that I thought were really useful and important when picking a college and finding scholarships and all that stuff. I compiled a list of resources that you might find helpful. Send me an email, Kraig@kraigstrom.com, the subject college, and I'll send you back that document with all the active links in there so you can use that. I'm happy to help as well. If you want to talk about college planning and how to pay for it, I am happy to help. There are some very important nuances with how you report your assets, where your assets are held. If you have significant business assets or other assets, there are some ways that you can actually shift things around to qualify for more student aid. Okay. Now, I want to finish up with this question I received from someone. A new prospective client recently asked me this question. They asked, what's the plan? What is our plan? What are we doing? What are we going to do? How are we going to work together? Well, let me give you a little background. We've been talking, this client, prospective client and I, we've been talking now for several different conversations, and we've not officially done business together. And he commented that it would be nice to know where we're going. What are we doing? This is an excellent opportunity to talk about the different ways that people can work with financial planners. And that's what I'm going to have to do with this gentleman later on today, to remind him of something that he may have forgotten when we first started talking, is how financial planners get paid, right? How we get paid. Number one, in the financial planner world, now it's important, there are a lot of financial advisors who are not technically financial planners. Financial planners are people like myself, certified financial planning professionals, licensed, regulated, educated to be financial planners. Fiduciaries is another way you'll hear it referred to. Okay. So in the financial planner world, there's three primary ways that you'll see and hear financial planners being paid. Number one is fee only. Now, a fee-only financial planner is just what it might sound like, that they only charge a fee to create a plan. So they charge a fee, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. Here's your plan. And then they'll make recommendations in that plan on things that you should execute and go out and do and buy, and products that you should buy and things that you should do. Okay? Now, the next compensation model is money management and commissions. So money management is investments under management. It's also called assets under management, where a financial planner, an investment professional, gets paid based on the amount of money that you have in a particular investment account. They also might make a commission, where they might make a commission selling a particular product, whether it be an investment-based product or an insurance-based product. You might have them getting paid based on money management or commissions. Right now, the third model, and the model that I personally use and I've used for, I think, really my whole career, is a fee-based compensation model. A fee-based model is one where we can cross between fee and commissions and money management and investment management, because I don't know what the most appropriate way is for everybody. I don't think that either of those fee only or money management or commission is right for everybody. So a fee-based model says that based on that individual client relationship, I can work with them in whatever way is most appropriate for me to be compensated. Okay. So with this particular client who asked about the plan, I determined that a fee-based approach was appropriate. So if I charge them a financial planning fee only, I would then, in the financial plan, recommend that they make certain investment changes, purchase life insurance, for example, update their legal arrangements, etc., right? Now, I'm qualified to help them implement the life insurance and investment changes. And those activities would pay compensation to an advisor via commissions and fees, right? I mean, that's just the way it works. So if he and his wife use me to make the insurance and investment changes, I would receive fees and commissions for doing that work. Now, if I charge them a fee only, let's say I charge them a $5,000 fee, right? And then in my recommendations was, you really need to update your life insurance. You really should make these changes to your investment portfolio. Well, then they go and they work with a separate advisor who does the life insurance and gets paid a commission, and then a separate investment advisor who then does the investment work and gets paid a fee, right? A commission for doing that work. I'm just not comfortable, in many cases, charging a fee only. Why should the client pay me to make a recommendation that leads to another person getting paid again? It just, for me, it makes more sense to have an arrangement with the client that says, look, I'm not going to charge a planning fee up front here because we're going to ultimately do some things that are going to lead to compensation for an advisor. Let's do that on a fee-based arrangement rather than me charging a fee up front. My mistake, this is a big mistake. My mistake is not making things more clear and then reminding people of how I am compensated, right? I often forget to come back and remind them of the conversation we had early on in our conversations, which was, hey, I'm not going to charge you a fee because I understand and I realize we're going to do some investment work. We're going to do some life insurance work. We're going to do this stuff. And I receive compensation for helping people do that, right? It's just that if we go through this discovery process and I make recommendations that you decide as a client to implement, as long as you use me to implement the recommendations, I'm compensated, right? And I think that actually really is a fair way to work with folks. It's a very fair way to work with folks, and it just stays true to my commitment to efficiency. Remembering that efficiency should be first in all things, whether it's in your spending or how you work with a financial planner. Efficiency first is a very important thing to remember. And if I can avoid it, I don't want to be the first inefficiency in a financial arrangement with a client where I charge a fee to make a recommendation that they go and do something that someone is paid built into that arrangement. It just doesn't make sense for me, right? So that's just me. That is how I work. I prefer to be a fee-based financial planner in that respect. Okay, so now that is going to wrap it up for this episode of Personal Pension Radio. Thank you again so much for the questions. Please keep them coming. Don't forget to go to iTunes, leave me an awesome review. And if you go to my YouTube, remember, just search Kraig Strom and Pete Tentler on YouTube, and you can watch that video interview with Pete Tentler. Awesome interview, tons of fun. Thank you again. I'll talk to you again real soon. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Personal Pension Radio podcast. We took notes for you, so if you missed any part of the show, you can find a full transcript of each episode at personalpensionradio.com. Be sure to download your free retirement income crisis report at personalpensionradio.com. While you're at it, we would appreciate some iTunes love. Please leave us a fantastic rating on iTunes by going to personalpensionradio.com/iTunes. Thanks again for listening. Now for the disclosure. Information presented is for educational purposes only and is not intended for solicitation, sale or purchase of any security or financial product. Be sure to first consult with a qualified financial advisor and your tax professional before implementing any strategy discussed here. The term personal pension refers to a marketing name designed to educate future retirees and retirees about the economic principles behind creating their own pension-like income. The term personal pension is not intended to be confused with a defined benefit pension plan offered by an employer or by a government entity.